We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Hey, this is Jordan, Nocked and Tagged Outdoors. Today, I'm gonna show you guys my saddle setup and how I one stick, and then also my one stick setup. So what I'm holding right here is everything I need to climb roughly around 30 feet high and hunt. So as you can see, very minimal. This is my DIY rope bag. Crown bags, you can get a lot of use out of those. And then my Eastern Woods Outdoors Ultimate One Stick with the platform on top. It's a short, I believe a 12-inch stick with a 3-step aider. And then I just have it wrapped up here with a little bungee. So yeah, that weighs next to nothing and takes up very minimal space. I have a Mr. Ranch Treehouse 38 backpack that this just slips right on the outside of. And I have tons of room for camera gear and everything else in there. But yeah, as you can see, total setup. This is the Latitude Method 2, I believe. Magnetic on both sides, 2-panel. Once I'm up there, I can pop that and sit for more of a comfortable sitting. And then I got their 2 gear bags, or their dump pouches, which are a lot bigger than the ones that I used to have, the little cheap ones off Amazon that I had on my cruiser. These hold probably twice as much, so you can definitely fill them up. I keep my lineman's belt in this one and an emergency knife, and then this one has climbing gear, pruning shears, stuff like that. Not very much. I try and keep it as light as possible, but yeah, go through and show you guys how I get set up right there on the tree, and then I'll go through the climbing process and then the rappelling process again. I think a lot of people are curious about how that works. So get back to you right here at the tree. All right, so first thing I guess I quick go over finding a tree for a saddle setup. They're correct in saying you can pretty much get up any tree with a saddle, but there are obviously trees that are a little bit better. It's just like with a climber, but you do have a little bit more range than with a climber. You can go up and around trees just simply by attaching more, by running your lineman's rope around along with your tether, so you can go across branches and stuff like that, whereas you couldn't with a climber. You can with a saddle. But for me, this size tree is a little on the big side of what I like, but this is a really good size tree. Something that you can quick reach around easily. If you can bear hug it, that's a great tree. It's about big enough then to cover you up. You can kind of get behind it if some deer are coming in and cover your silhouette, and then you can also, it just makes it really easy for the whole climbing part of it. As you can see, once I get started here, throwing rope around the tree and stuff like that, it's obviously a lot easier if you can easily reach around it. If you're having to really stretch into it and stuff, that can tend to make it a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible by any means, but this is a little bit easier to get up stealthy and just simple and not wasting a lot of excess energy. But so, like I said, a tree like this, basketball size to about this size of tree, is pretty much what I find ideal. I've went up in trees that were this big around, and it's fine. It's not fun in a windstorm, but you're fine in it. I wouldn't want to go too much bigger in this. You definitely can, but like I said, you are at the limit of what your strap is here. So you're at the limit of what you can do with this. And I wouldn't even want to max this out. I wouldn't want to get a longer one to do it. I just would rather pick a tree that's about this size or smaller. That's my 2 cents on that. But anyway, so you walk up to the tree, grab your stick. See, I got this 3-step aider, and that is key. If you have a 2-step aider, you're going to have to adjust where you start at. And then it's all kind of personal preference on how high you're able to take that first step. If you're a shorter guy, you're probably gonna be starting a little bit lower. For me, I like to start this at the bottom, about even with the top of my head. And then I kind of put my bill there. This is where being able to reach around that tree helps. Put the bill there, keep everything level, if not up a little bit. Bring it through. I just kind of like to drape it back behind that step, cinch down and set it. So right now, my one stick is ready to go ahead and climb. In about 2 more moves, I will be all the way at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my rope and go ahead and get that set up too. All right, so I wish Crown Apple was sponsoring this video because that would make life a lot cheaper, but they aren't, so shout out to Crown. Got my rope here, drop that. I have 2 different rope setups, 2 different sizes. One, I have a Delta link on the end, and I do prefer that. If I'm not using a Delta link, I like a carabiner with a screw, not the pull and twist. I have had the pull and twist actually rub on the rope as I'm climbing and moving around and open up on me. So I either want something that screws shut, or I want that Delta link, which that also screws shut, but that is even harder to come undone. So those are the 2 different setups I use, and that's why. I definitely don't like that quarter twist. I have a couple of those quarter twist carabiners, but I do not use it for this. So go ahead, get that around the tree, and screw that shut. Just get in the habit of every time you get on a carabiner, you go ahead and you screw that safety shut. It just saves you from oh shit moment when you're up somewhere and something could happen. I mean, I just had today when I was setting stands where it kind of opened up on me when I was down on the ground. But yeah, that happens up in the tree. It's kind of a pucker moment when you realize something could have happened. You might have taken a tumble, and then your deer season's over because you saved 5 seconds on not screwing something in. Just spend the extra time on it, and you might save yourself a deer season and not be in crutches. So I use Petzl Gree. Go ahead and show you this, guys. So I have another video kind of more in depth on it, but I did go and stealth strip all this outside. So where that actually rubs right there, that's silent. As soon as my carabiner's in there holding it, there's no noise right there. It's pretty good. Not shiny either, but I've been using this for 3 years now, and I absolutely love this thing. I haven't tried the other ones that are out there. I've only ever tried this and a figure 8. I just like this a lot better. I like the mechanical over the figure 8. The figure 8, it works and it's a good cheap option, but this hasn't failed me and it's worked awesome. So especially for rappelling down, if you're just going down a little bit to find another spot, it's easy to just quick pull that handle until you're there, let it go, and you're back to doing what you're doing. So yeah, you go ahead and you run your rope. It has a little man right there kind of showing you, but that's going to the climber and then back out the other end. So go ahead and set that up. And then here's my climbing carabiner, which is also a screw shut safety, and that also has stealth strip. When you're buying stuff like this, guys, there's a ton of options that look like cheap discount options, budget-friendly options all over the internet. If you're climbing with it and you're going to be putting yourself at 25 feet or so above the ground, just spend the extra money and get something that's certified and less likely to break on you, and then pay attention for like recalls, stuff like that too. Just there's no need to, your life's worth more than $50 savings in carabiners. Go ahead and spend the extra 50 bucks and you can come home to your wife and kids without coming home all mangled in an ambulance. So there's my 2 cents. Again, I will always err on the side of safety with that. So right now, I haven't even left the ground yet. I'm 100% tied into the tree. This, it captures me right away, so that's that fall device too. So I can go ahead and start climbing now. I am going to go ahead and switch to GoPro so you guys can see this a little bit better.
All right, GoPro's on. Hopefully we'll be able to switch that view and that'll work for you. So tie it off, foot there, and your aider toe to the tree, make it stiff. It gives you that space for your next foot to go ahead and slide in that spot. Always keep tension on that. Next foot. Next foot. Always just be looking at your ropes, everything like that. Make sure nothing's caught up. This is where you then go and get that sucker as high up as you can reach. And then give yourself tension. Now you're resting completely on this. You're all tied off. You're gonna go ahead and kind of swing into the tree. Hug it with your legs. Turn around. Pop that out. Put yourself back. Now use this rope to help you. See this little notch right here? Go ahead. Set that there. And swing that sucker around the tree. Right back through. Repeat process of the ground. Toe in. Toe in. And we're climbing. So, switch to the ground camera here. As you guys can see, we're a little ways up. Oh, perfect. I didn't even see this, but we'll get a good example of how to get around an obstacle. So, I'm probably 10, 12 feet up in the air right now. We got a branch. If we were in a climber, you're pretty much stuck at this height. You're not going up any higher. We're not in a climber, we're in a saddle. So by staying tied into the tree, I'll grab my lineman's belt, whip that sucker around, and go ahead. Your lineman's belt's only good as if it's tight to the tree. Remember, we always tighten these. But if you're sitting here and you're way out and something happens, all your momentum's swinging into that tree and hopefully stopping there, if not, still sliding down. So the shorter you have this leash on yourself, the safer you're gonna be, the shorter of a drop it's gonna be into the tree, the more likely you're gonna be able to stop yourself and kind of bear hug that tree. So we are tied to the tree. I can go ahead and undo my, what the heck do you call this thing? Technically, forget what the saddle hunting term, I think it's just called the tether. I'm pretty dang sure that's what it's called. Sometimes I forget that stuff. And now we've went ahead and bypassed our branch and we're gonna be back to climbing just like we were. So we can carefully lean your body in, take tension off that, pull it out, and you're gonna go back to tension on this. So now we've transferred our weight onto this from that. We're gonna go ahead and undo this. So as simple as that, we went and bypassed that branch. So repeat back, step 2 on the ground. Try and turn more so you guys can actually see this. This is, guys, I have done a lot of climbing. I mean, I just put up a couple tree stands today and using like tree sticks and stuff. I will promise you guys, it might not feel that way the very first time you do it, but once you get used to this, you feel so much safer, so much more secure. than you ever do with tree steps. Or, I mean, aside from a ladder stand, this has got to be the safest feeling thing. I'm able to sit here in a very comfortable position. I'm not like kind of bracing myself against a tree and trying to move around. I'm very comfortable, able to kind of work out at hands reach, arms reach, and it's very simple. So, and this would be our last move to hunting height. And I guess one thing I didn't do, I will show you. But I usually do one extra step on my one stick when I know it's going to be my last move. But I would say here, go ahead and get yourself comfy. Get ready to hunt. I'm 20 some feet in the air. This is a very ideal spot. When I go ahead and go back down to my one stick, I'll show you guys kind of how I do the rope there, usually on my last one. Yeah. So now is the fun part. Everyone wonders about the rappelling. This is where the magic happens. Gotta check this real quick. All right, we're still recording. All right, so this is where it's super fun. This is a 30-foot rope. I'm 20 some feet in the air and my rope is still touching the ground. So if you are buying rope for this, buy about 10 foot extra above where you think you're gonna normally hunt. That gives you room to go around a tree. It gives you room to add on your knots, stuff like that. Usually the end of this line, I go ahead and have tied to my backpack, which has everything but my bow. And then I can go ahead and pull that up when I'm done, hang my backpack here on the tree and stuff this in the side. Or sometimes I'll tie my rattling antlers to this, drop it back down there and shake those around in the leaves and stuff. Sounds a little bit more realistic calling wise. But if you don't want something hanging down there, you can always bring it up, stuff it in your backpack. Oh, and then I guess one thing I didn't have out that I should have showed you. So my bow hoist strap is just your standard bow hoist strap. So that, once I get up here, I will hook into that. It would have normally been hooked onto my saddle, onto my bow obviously, and then I hoist up my bow, hang it. After I hang my bow, I go ahead and remove this part from my saddle, clip it in right there, and I do that right when I'm getting ready to hunt. So there's no forgetting it, because I have gotten down from the tree before. Most of these lessons, guys, I've learned from mistakes. You don't want to get down to the bottom of the tree and realize you forgot to tie in this rope right here to go ahead and pull your line down, and then you got to climb back up the tree. And most of the times you've got almost all your stuff put away down there, and now you got to get it back out and climb back up the tree. So save yourself the headache. Try and have a system, practice your system, and do everything in the same order every time. So it's repetitions, it's easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that sucker back down because we don't need that when we're up here hunting. I'm bow hunting or whatever, doing my thing. As you can see, I can climb all the way around this tree. This tree was a size about something I could bear hug. I'm able to go out here, do whatever I want. This is not moving. I'm side loading it. I'm jumping on it. I am not a light guy. I'm 240 pounds. Yeah. And for a 240 pound, 6'2" guy, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like this is pretty secure. If I can do this up here, jump around like a monkey, I think everyone else can. Okay, so we're done with the hunt. You just shot the biggest buck of your life, and now we're gonna go ahead and go down. So I'm gonna pull out another camera to kind of help show you that. How am I gonna do this? Gotta figure out how I'm gonna actually set that camera up. There we go, that'll work. Okay, so you just shot the biggest buck of your life. And now we're gonna get ready to go back down the tree. Okay, so I've taken this line out right here. I've lowered my backpack down. Backpack's down at the bottom of the tree with all my crap. Now I'm gonna go ahead and lower my bow back down. That's down. The only thing up here is me, my one stick. So that stays just like it is. Now is the fun part. Pull that behind your rope and just start walking down the tree. Now, when I get to this part, all you gotta do is pop this, pull it down. But I will say what I was gonna tell you guys before, normally when I get to hunting height, just as an extra precaution, I go ahead and wrap this around, I don't know, a couple times, 3 or 4 times, and then just go back through there. It keeps it from swinging. I feel like it makes it even a little bit harder if something were to slip for it to continue to slip. I think it would catch itself a little bit easier this way. So that's another safety that I do. But yeah, we're coming down the tree now. So pop that back up, out. And actually, I could, man, that thing's all over me. I could run a carabiner, or I can just lower it down like this without dropping it, using the tag end of my rope. So guys, get creative. When you're sitting up in a tree for that long, you just start to get creative with your ropes. Practice your knots. Just get good at that kind of stuff. It makes it fun. Okay, we're still recording. Good. So, this is the fun part. And you're down the tree. It was that simple. So yeah, don't actually step on my bow or anything. So typically I'll set that, I don't know, 5-10 feet away from the tree, kind of have that all organized, stacked, just out of the way. Once again, guys, something that takes you an extra couple seconds to do that might save you a trip to the bow shop or something like that. Take this off. I have a little silent case. I don't know where I really got it or what, but it fits my stuff. It might be like a little camera bag. I put my gree in there, keep it quiet in my pouch, and all I have left is my 2 ropes, my bow hoist rope and my tether rappelling rope. I'm going to go ahead and pull my bow hoist rope, and that pulls my knot free. I pull that right back down through itself. Now the only thing I have left to do is pack it back in my crown bag, wrap up my one stick, walk back out to my truck, go get the deer cart and get that monster. Or the 120-inch 8-pointer that you decided to settle for. Whatever you guys like to do. I definitely shot a 120-inch 8-point last year, so it was awesome. I had a great time doing it, and I don't really care. But obviously everyone wants to shoot one bigger, and I definitely will if I get a chance. But yeah, there is my one stick setup with my Latitude Method 2, my Eastern Woods Outdoors Ultimate one stick, 3-step aider, 12-inch stick. I like the 12-inch stick for another reason I forgot to mention. Shorter stick. You have a tree that's all wonky, crooked and stuff like that. That shorter space is less space for it to kind of get weird, where the top is cleated on a one curve of a tree and this is on another curve, and it tends to kick better or worse at that time. Having that shorter stick allows you to typically stay on that same contour of that tree. That's another thing I guess I just kind of remembered from setting up tree sticks on a tree stand I hung today. They definitely kick out a little bit more if you have that slight variance in the tree when their sticks are 30 inches long. So this little 12-inch stick, I love it. I've been using it for 3 years. I have absolutely no intentions on ever switching to carrying sticks in and doing it like that. That is the easiest way. And honestly, every time I show someone how to do it and they try it in person, 9 times out of 10, I think I've got several people now that they've just switched everything all, because they're like, this is way better. This is awesome. But yeah, put your rope away. Good to go home. And that's all I got for you guys. Yep, all I will say at the end, I guess, like I said before, don't skip on the safety steps. They're there for a reason. You think it's dumb until you fall and you wish you'd listened and took the extra couple minutes. It really does not take that much longer. It's very simple. Especially if you practice it, it makes it easy, it makes it smooth. I don't see any reason not to do it. So always go ahead, take a couple extra seconds for safety. Find a system that has your gear organized. Just having it thrown around is the fastest way that you will forget something or forget a step. If something is not where it typically always is. That's the fastest way to failure. So that's all I got for you. Hunt safe, have a good season, and go kill a monster.